But we also had all these videos to prove it. So that all needs to be given to the prosecutors so that they can see what they're really dealing with. I think that one of the prosecutors had no idea. I don't think he knew that at all. Matter of fact, he said to me, he said, "You have every right to your free speech, your First Amendment, having a YouTube channel, doing what you're doing." He said those words, doing what you're doing. He was talking to me. The prosecutor was talking to me, and that's what he said. And I said, then why am I here?
Welcome back to the channel, and this video I'm going to be looking at something Dumbwaiter said in his live stream after his Zoom court appearance. Now, Dumbwaiter's raised the issue of the First Amendment, so let's discuss it. Now, I'm going to be looking at three things. What is the First Amendment? So what is freedom of speech? And do I have a First Amendment right on YouTube? What is the First Amendment? To answer this simply, the First Amendment to the US Constitution protects 5 fundamental freedoms for individuals from government interference. They are religion, speech, press, assembly, and the freedom to petition the government. So there are 5 parts, but today we're going to concentrate on one: freedom of speech. So what is freedom of speech? Freedom of speech is the right of an individual or a community to express their opinions and ideas without fear of retaliation, censorship, or legal penalty from the government. And this extends beyond spoken words. It includes written word, artistic expression, symbolic actions, but there are limitations. What are these limitations? Well, incitement to violence, defamation, true threats, just to name a few. And I want you to remember these for later. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Do I have a First Amendment right on YouTube? Or, more broadly speaking, do I have a First Amendment right on social media? As stated, freedom of speech is protection of speech from government interference, censorship, or penalty. Now, YouTube, who is owned by Google, and are both private enterprises, and this was upheld in the case of Prager University v. Google. The US District Court, case 17-CV-06064-LHK, and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, 18-15712, both ruled in favour of Google and YouTube. That is, YouTube is a private company, therefore its content moderation decisions are not subject to the First Amendment. So, whilst you can publish your video on YouTube, it is subject to YouTube's terms of service. It can be removed from YouTube for a breach of terms of service, or it can be removed if YouTube receives a complaint about the video. And it's not an infringement of the First Amendment. Remember a short minute ago I said there were limitations: violence, threats, defamation. Well, maybe, writer, the prosecutor should see just what sort of a person you truly are. Because we know how you manipulate the truth by crafting highly selective, obscure, inconvenient facts. Or maybe I should just put that in simple terms for a high school dropout. You lie. I have 4 examples from my collection, which in my opinion shows the underlying character of writer. The first one that I'm going to show you stands alone relative to the other 3. And the final 3 I believe express just how dangerous writer could be, as there is a common theme that connects them. But we're going to start with the KKK. This is the thumbnail that writer used for one of his videos. But before I get to my interpretation of what I think this thumbnail is conveying, let's listen to what writer has to say.
It has been over a year already since I was first charged for this. The case we're talking about from today, which is the 2 felonies. Both felonies were for criticizing a government official, J.J. Scarborough. They were for satire, a satire thumbnail of a cartoon bobblehead on a satire movie cover. Y'all know the movie Oh Brother Where Art Thou? There's a scene in it where the dude from Big Lebowski, Dan from Roseanne, I can never remember his name, he's leading, the one-eyed dude, he's leading the KKK in this scene, and it's like, so it's part of the movie cover. And I took Dan's face and made a cartoon bobblehead of the jailer, and I put the jailer in there. And then because the content that was inside of that video was that JJ had contacted known members, known racist terrorist organization to come to my hearing that day.
Let's break down this thumbnail. The title, Kentucky Official Calls on the Klan. On the right hand side we see a person in uniform with a badge. That must be the Kentucky official. In the middle of the screen we see J.J. Scarborough dressed as a member of the KKK, and between them is a prisoner. Now this is my interpretation of this thumbnail. The sheriff, i.e. the Kentucky official, has a problem with a prisoner in his jail. So he approaches a member of the KKK to see if the KKK can implement some form of KKK justice on the prisoner. Now I could be reading too much into this thumbnail, but as I said, that's my interpretation. And no, dumbwaiter, JJ's head is not a bobblehead, as you said. Now whilst there is no direct threat of violence, let me put it to you that the probability exists. Now assume for a minute someone who has had a negative interaction with the KKK sees this. Well, they could determine by the title and the images that the sheriff and JJ are somehow connected or associated with the Klan, and could take some form of retaliatory action against them. This thumbnail is defamation, and it's not protected by the First Amendment. In these next 3 examples, by the end I think I will have presented conclusive evidence that when taken in totality, it proves that Reiter is a dangerous person. However, as these 3 examples were posted over a period of time, unless you dig into his past, it would be easy to overlook a possible connection. The first in the series is a Facebook post from Reiter on January 2nd, 2024. And this is the post that I'm talking about. It's since been deleted. But from Chris Reiter, and I quote, "Any of you who have an issue with me, come and settle it at this address. I'll be waiting in my underwear." Unquote. Now this is not Reiter's residence. This is the home of 2 caring individuals, one of which is a minor. Reiter, you're inviting people over to resolve disputes with you whilst you're waiting around in your underwear. That's just completely inappropriate. Did you even stop and think just how terrified these 2 people would be, having strangers coming to their front door, wanting to settle a dispute with you? And Reiter, you're involving a minor in this. Not just a minor, but an innocent third party, threatening to put them in harm's way. And if you have any doubt about the type of person following Reiter, well, take a look at the next comment from Gary Monet. And I quote, "Chris Reiter, I'm on my way, brother. Make sure you got all the beer and all the women so we can beat them. LOL. I wonder how many people really going to show up." Unquote. Saying it in jest, or being serious, that's not appropriate either. So we have a threat to the occupants of this house. In the next clip, Ryder's going to ramp that threat to the next level. And this is the sort of threat that must be taken seriously. I am of course referring to the cease and desist letter that Ryder sent via registered mail to JJ Scarborough. And it's the final paragraph that we need to look at. Failure to comply with this cease and desist request will leave Mr. Ryder and Miss Napier no alternative but to pursue other avenues to remedy the problem, which could include, but not limited to, criminal action and or civil action. Failure to adhere to this request could also put your daughter in harm's way and or on the news like Sheriff Wimpy's son. Now, first let me assume that you received this letter and that you don't know who Sheriff Wimpy is or what happened to his son. Well, a simple Google search will yield the results about what happened. And if you go to videos, there are numerous news reports.
Tragedy in a small Kentucky community. 3 people, including the son of a Meade County Sheriff's deputy, were found shot to death inside their home.
I don't think I need to say any more. It's clear what happened. So here we have Ryder making a direct threat against the life of someone else. But not only is Ryder making a threat again against a minor, but as I said, this letter was sent via registered mail with the United States Postal Service. This was posted from Lansville, Indiana, across state lines to Kentucky. So not only can he face state charges, but he could also face federal charges as well. And this leads me on to the third example in this series. And don't forget, in this last paragraph, failure to comply with this cease and desist request will leave Mr. Ryder and Miss Napier. They're both guilty of this. They are both complicit in this. But let's get on with the third example. The third part of this is from a live stream that Ryder did, where he was alleging that someone had cut his security camera cables. But yet he's never shown any proof of that. And I'll let Ryder tell you what he wants to do.
Tells me where to go with my firearm.
And it also
hang on,
sends an
I gotta
alarm.
say this.
Okay, go ahead.
And I do not want to use it. I don't want to shoot nobody. So please, trolls, stop. I don't want to kill you, but I will.
So in Indiana, there is the castle doctrine, and it's codified primarily under Indiana Code 35-41-3-2. Now what does it mean? Well, it says that a person is justified in using reasonable force, including deadly force. But in saying that, the force that you use against another must still be proportionate to the force or the threat presented against you. Now let me ask you this. How can someone claim that they are justified in using deadly force, i.e. in self-defense, and killing you, when they've just made an open claim that, quote, I don't want to kill you, but I will, end quote. Now, in my opinion, these last 3 examples show a disturbing trait in Ryder's character. But that's not the end. I have a bonus piece that shows that Ryder is capable of using, or at least drawing a firearm against another person and threatening them with it. And at the same time, we have a minor child involved. I am of course referring to the Easter 1999 incident where Ryder held a gun to his girlfriend's head and threatened to kill her. And at the same time, her daughter was also present. So you tell me, are these threats, the Facebook post, the cease and desist letter, and the threat, I don't want to kill you, but I will, is that the behaviour of a person who is of sane mind and wants to be a respected person in his community? Well, if you've made it this far, thank you. I know it's been a long one. Can I ask you please, leave a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications. And I'd like to hear what your opinion and thoughts are down in the comments. I'll catch you next time. Bye.